All right, man. We said Lord willing, and Lord's will, we're back, man. Sabbath lesson. Y'all see the title? Fruit ain't fun, right? Fruit ain't fun. We live in a society now where a lot of people are being more health conscious, right? And a lot of people are realizing that we have to eat healthier options to prolong our future. We were raised in a society where it was okay to give kids a lot of candy, a lot of sugar, a lot of soda, right? We was those kids, you know what I'm saying? But now we're seeing moving forward, right? We don't want to taint our kids' bodies and our bodies with a lot of these chemically made processed foods, right? We want to be more healthy. So we're more health conscious, right? How much more in the spirit, right? Spiritually, we need to be more spiritually conscious, right? More spiritually discerned, right? Because not only is do our bodies need to be healthy, but also our spirit needs to be healthy. Dang, does somebody have that precept about the body being
Body being.
brother glitching again?
Get out the matrix, brother.
Talks about like it talks about it's not in the apocrypha, man. I know in the apocrypha it talks about a strong body is above gold, but there's another one that talks about
Excessive.
it talks about pretty much, having a strong body, but
There's one in First Timothy.
yeah, I think that's the one I'm thinking of.
My way to sick when it said excessive.
Excessive meats.
Yeah.
Nah,
Nah, he talking about the one in First Timothy.
Salakia.
You talking about
1 Timothy 4:8. Yeah, 1 Timothy 4:8, man. That's a good place to start. We're gonna start there real quick. But before we get there, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna say we want to give all glory and honor to the most high God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who sent his son as an instrument of salvation for the nation. And that nation is Israel. Right? Thank you guys. Shalom to the 12 tribe. Shalom to the cleavers. And thank you guys for, fellowshipping with us this Saturday, right? Or this Sabbath day for, some exhortation, right? Let me share my screen right now. We have the brothers of the hopeful elect on here, me, myself, Azrael. Then we have Danal. Then we have the brother Isaiah. God is my salvation. Then we have Obadiah, right? And the four of us together, hopefully, we can give you guys a great lesson, right? I want to start here, like I just said, First Timothy. I said First Timothy 4:8.
8.
It's a good place to start. And then I want one of the brothers to read this screenshot that I got pulled up, right? We can start with Danal. If you could read this, First Timothy 4:8.
1 Timothy 4:8, it says, "For bodily exercise profiteth little, but godliness is profitable unto all things, having promise of the life that now is, and of that which is to come."
Right? It's cool to be healthy and health conscious in these bodies, but when it says it profited little, it's talking about for a little time. Like we're not going to always be in these bodies. Yeah, it's good to be healthy and to watch what we eat and watch our weight and work out and be strong. And Ecclesiasticus tells us a strong body is above, and a good estate is above gold, right? It's above infinite wealth. But you got to understand that infinite wealth, that only profits a little bit because it's only here for a little bit of time. We may think that we have a long life, but life could be over before you know it. And even if you live to be 80, to be 90, when you look back on your life, you're like, man, that went by fast. So it profited little. But the things that do profit you, right, are godliness, right? Because that's going to give you the life to come. So when we have the title of the lesson, Fruit Ain't Fun, yes, we're going to go into actual fruit and actual, fruit versus candy, right? But what's more important is the spiritual fruit. You know a man by his fruit, right? And those are the things that we need to focus on to have that eternal life, because that life is going to be a lot longer, a way longer than this little bit of breath of life that we have now, right? So I want to go back here. If the next brother up could read this. This is an AI answer. The AI answer to my question, I guess. I said fruit versus candy. And this is what it gave me after I said fruit versus candy. If we could start right here at this first paragraph.
And Salaki, if y'all hear a little noise in the back, man, children in the room having a good time. But fruit versus candy, it says, when it comes to choosing between fruit and candy, it's essential to consider the nutritional differences consider the nutritional differences. While both may satisfy your sweet tooth, fruits are generally a healthier choice due to their natural sugars, fiber, and essential nutrients like vitamins and minerals.
Right. So what I want to point out of this first paragraph is they both, right, satisfy your sweet tooth. They both do, right? But a lot of times in life, we get to a point to where we have more of one than the other, and our body ends up craving the other mentally. Even though they both will satisfy the same craving, we'll desire one over the other. Meaning, you may have a desire, man, I want something sweet after you just ate your food, right? I want something sweet, man. So first thing you think about is ice cream, candy, cookies, cake. But your body really could be telling you, nah, you need some fruit. But you deceived yourself because of what you've consumed all your life, right? Go ahead.
Man, that's kind of the spirit that you made this video, because I was literally thinking about Friday I think it was Friday when I was driving Hey Howard, right? I was literally thinking, I'm like, why is it when like if you a child and you do something good, like get good grades or something like that, and the parents reward you by giving you like candy and ice cream and stuff like that. I used to think about that, like, dang, like why are you giving me something that's bad for me doing good?
That's a mighty point, man. I didn't even think about that point, man. I like that you brought that out, because that's what society does. They reward you with something evil for doing something that's deemed good, right? So a lot of times our rewards in life are not even the rewards that we should be seeking, right? A lot of times the rewards in life will set us back spiritually, right? A lot of times the rewards in life that we work so hard for are really not healthy for us, right? We're looking and idolizing and romanticizing people, places, and things that really aren't healthy for us, right? The brother Denal had mentioned in a conversation that we had with some other people. He had mentioned, he said, because nowadays, we've kind of switched. We kind of reward our kids with fruit now, and kids, they'll be ecstatic if you give them some watermelon. They'll be jumping up and down for some watermelon, for some.
No, I do.
My kids be opening the pantry, stealing apples in the middle of the night. I come back, it's a bunch of bite marks on the peaches, on the apples. That's what they're seeking, right? They're not seeking for candy. They're seeking for fruit. But that lets you know it's been a spiritual shift in the atmosphere as well. Because back in the day, we used to want that candy, right? We used to want that candy. Birthday parties, we used to want that candy. Christmas come, we want that candy. There's candy associated with every holiday in the world, right? Halloween comes, you want that candy, right? And so the thing is this, it's got to be a physical and a spiritual shift to understand that just because it satisfies your craving, right? That does not mean that it's healthy, right? And sometimes you can be deceived by satisfying your craving, right? For example, adultery, right? In the moment, you go blind, right? Because you're just trying to satisfy your flesh. But then after you do it, you may understand, man, that wasn't the healthiest decision for me to make for my future. Because now I'm so guilty for what I did. I'm worrying about if I get caught. Then if I do get caught, I can lose my family. I could lose everything, right? So it satisfied a feeling of your flesh, but you could have satisfied your feeling with your own wife, right? And that's what it's saying here, you know, on a physical level, right? With candy, is that, you know, candy will satisfy a sweet tooth, but also if you go get some fruit, it'll satisfy your sweet tooth as well. That's why, you know, I've been working on trying to eat parfaits, like fruit parfaits and yogurt and stuff like that, right? When I crave something sweet at night. Salakia. Let's read this second paragraph.
Some fruits like bananas.
I scroll down. So the next, yeah.
Oh, in contrast, candy is typically high in refined sugars, artificial flavors, and preservatives, offering little to no nutritional value.
Stop right there. So right there, this is spiritual, man. It says artificial flavors. That's all sin does. It's give you a counterfeit. It gives you artificial flavoring, right? It gives you the idea that you have something, that you're feeling something, right? Preservatives offering little to no nutritional value, meaning these preservatives, it's not fresh. It's something that's been preserved longer, right? We talked to somebody one Sabbath day and he was telling us how his family, they only eat fresh food from a market. He said wherever they go, they look for a fresh market. They don't eat anything that you have to keep in a freezer because he believes that they're supposed to eat everything fresh. A lot of this candy are preservatives, right? They have preservatives in them. And the artificial flavors is what I want to hone in on in this paragraph because it's a fake. It's phony. It's a quick fix, right? And it's deceptive to you. It's deceptive to your body, meaning it goes in your body and it tricks your mind into thinking it's something that's real. Like you may drink some juice, you may eat some candy that tastes like a strawberry, but it's not a strawberry. But now your body is tricked into being satisfied that, oh, I just ate a strawberry, not knowing you just ate some chemicals, right? And so that's the same thing with sin. Sin is artificial, right? When Satan came up to Christ and said that he can give him, you know, the kingdoms of the earth, Christ understood these kingdoms are going to be destroyed, bro. So even if I do get these kingdoms, it's going to feel like I have power over these kingdoms. But when I deny God, when the actual kingdom comes, I'm not going to have it. It's all deception, right? If you could keep reading.
Khan, can y'all hear me?
Khan.
So even with fruit snacks, often perceived as a healthier alternative, can be high in sugar and low in fiber and protein, making them more similar to candy than whole fruits.
Right. So you even have to be, so sometimes the enemy, right, can get crafty and can make fruit snacks, right? So now you really think you're eating healthy, but he's finding a way to mix in some of that artificial, find a way to mix in some of that fake, right? But it's a healthier alternative, but it's not the real thing, right? So a lot of times we can be distracted in life by things that we see and make excuses for that. It's not that bad. What I'm doing is technically not a sin, right? That would be your fruit snacks, right? If we could read this next paragraph, some fruits.
Khan, some fruits like bananas, oranges, and pineapples are naturally higher in sugar, earning them the nickname nature's candy. However, their fiber and water content still make them a better choice than candy.
Right? So some of these fruits, guess what? Too much of anything is bad for you. So some of these fruits, guess what? They can still give you cavities, right? But it's better than having candy because they still add other nutritional value to you, right? They give you fiber, they give you water content, and they're a better choice than candy because candy is giving you chemicals and alternatives, right? It's not giving you the real thing, right? You can read this last paragraph.
Ultimately, moderation is key. Enjoying fruits and limiting candy consumption can help you make healthier choices.
So you have to have some self-restraint when it comes to sin. When it comes to certain choices in life, a lot of people like to say that we have free will. At the Hopeful Elect, we don't believe we have free will. We feel like we have choices because with free will, you don't have any consequence to your actions. But with choices, you have consequences for what choice you make. So you have to limit or have self-restraint when it comes to things that are pleasurable in this life, right? You have to have some chastisement, some self-restraint about yourself and make healthier choices, right? Even when it comes to drinking alcohol, like it says, moderation is key. So certain things that we get pleasure out of this life, a lot of times God has set this world up so that a lot of the pleasures we get are sin, right? It's going to hurt to do right, right? It's not fun to do right. It don't feel good to do right, even though it's satisfying your body. It's satisfying your spirit. It don't feel fun. It don't feel good, right? And so here you have fruit snacks, right? The brother ate likes these right here, right? It's a mixture of fruit and candy, right? Some may say that's being lukewarm in the spirit. You want a little bit of both. I'm not getting on the brother. I'm just saying spiritually.
Hey, them jokers be busting though. I guarantee you, if I gave y'all some, bro, y'all wouldn't start eating them for 2 weeks.
Yeah, man, that's what sin do to you, bro. Sin, it'll make you addicted. Sin. No, I'm just playing, man. But you know, that's a fruit snack, right? That like earlier in this article or earlier in this response, it was saying fruit snacks are a healthier alternative, but they can still be harmful to your body. They're still not the healthiest choice. But nonetheless, let's get into these scriptures now, right? We already read that one. The brother Obadiah could read right here.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 25, verse 28. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls.
Right. You have to have self-control, right? Self-control. That's ruling over your own spirit and ruling over your own body, right? But when we're talking about a spiritual aspect of fruit, right, you have to be able to understand what is fruit and what is not, what is flesh, what is not fruit, right? What's artificial, right? And you have to be able to rule over your body and tell your body, I'm the God of this body. I'm the creator. I create my decisions, right? I know that sounds weird. I know that sounds funny because we serve one most high God, but he has said that we are God's little g. We have power over our bodies to rule over our spirits and our bodies. You shouldn't let that cigarette control you. Shouldn't let that weed control you. You shouldn't let sex addiction control you. These things have a lot of power over us, but they shouldn't. We should be able to have self-restraint, right? And we all fall victim to these things every now and then, right? We all give in to these flesh desires. Like Paul said, the things that I would not do, that I do. And you feel guilty for it afterwards, right? For example, Amnon, right? David's son, you know, his heart deceived him. He thought he wanted his sister. Some may say his half sister, right? Some may, you know, he wanted his sister though. That's incest. And he laid down with his sister. And when he laid down with his sister, he woke up and he rose up and he was angry and he hated his sister. Why? Because he knew that what he was doing was candy. It was a temporary fix. It was artificial flavoring. It satisfied him for the moment, but it didn't satisfy his spirit. That's why his spirit was throwing it up. It was like, ugh, this is nasty. Why did you do this? Right? So he hated himself and he hated his sister for that. Right? So you got to be able to rule your own spirit. The next place I'm going to go to is 1 Corinthians 4:18. Right? If you could read this for me. Salakia. I don't think that's it. Might be 2 Corinthians. I was writing my notes fast. I think this is it.
2 Corinthians 4:18, it says, while we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal.
Right. So we can't see. So when we talk about candy, right? We talking about candy versus fruit, right? And we say fruit ain't fun. We can't see the nutritional value that fruit gives us, right? When we look at a strawberry, we can't see fiber and we can't see, the minerals in it, and we can't see, all the things that are healthy for our our bodies, right? We're just looking at an object. Same thing with candy. We can't see the artificial flavoring and we can't see the chemicals in it. We just looking at the candy, right? But we have to pay attention and have spiritual eyes to be able to read the ingredients, right? And see what's actually inside these things. So spiritually speaking, we have to be able to look past our current situation, our current temptation. You got to look past the moment, right? And look forward to the eternal. Is this going to benefit me in eternal life? Is this going to benefit me to get eternal life, right? I'm going to go here real quick. 2 Timothy 2:15.
And why you on that point too, while it says, while we look not at the things which are seen, a lot of times you got to learn how to do exactly what the scriptures say. Don't look at what you can see, because sometimes with these commercials with like fast food restaurants and stuff, they'll make these sandwiches look so desirable, and it'll make people go up and just go buy one just because of how it looked on television. And that's why you can't look at everything that you see, because like the brother said, yeah, they showing you the well, I guess you could say they're trying to appeal your appetite, right? So they're showing you this food, and it's in this way that, it looks so desirable to be had. And that's why you got to kind of have some self-discipline when it comes to like eating out and stuff like that, because every day you may see a commercial, and if you didn't know how to rule your, your spirit, you'll be probably buying something every day that you just seen on TV in the way that they presented it, but like the brother said, you just got to learn to, hey, what's in the ingredients, And a while back, somebody showed us how, these restaurants and these fast food chains, how they promote their food, and they really be putting like Dawn dish soap in some of their beverages to make it look more fulfilling. They be using certain types of paste and stuff to make their burgers glisten a little bit more. So it's just all deception, It's all deception at the end of the day.
Man. Like the brother said, it's all deception. Here we see they're using glue, right? Look, they're using glue. It says 30 shocking tricks advertisers use to make food look delicious. That's not real cheese. That's glue. But that'll make you go to Papa John's or Pizza Hut right now, right? Like, dang, I do want some pizza right now. But they're using glue. It's not even cheese, right? Let's look at this one. Right? All of this stuff looks real and looks good, but it's fake. It's not real food. Look at this. That's styrofoam. That's not even real cheese. Right?
That's witchcraft, man. That's look. I remember when they first started posting like the sandwiches with the baconators.
Look at
They
that.
make the bacon look crispy, man. The watermelon too. They fake it.
Spray painted watermelon, man. That's why you gotta look deeper, man. This stuff, you gotta look deeper, man. You gotta look deeper, right?
It's all a trick too, man. They
Not
tricking
even
you to go
real
buy
stuff.
madness.
And it's always the stuff that's not healthy for you that they gotta make look good, right? That's not even real cold foam or whipped cream, right? That's
Shaving cream.
shaving cream.
Right. That's why I said, man, it was a commercial like that about how I think McDonald's was promoting the sandwich. It was circling on Twitter a couple years ago, man. But that's when I was like, they do show up be advertising them joints like that,
Yeah, they got
making it look like it's real.
They got styrofoam fries. Look at this fake piece of cake or whatever, like ice cream cake, right? Fake steam, fake smoke once again.
It's all marketing, man. But that's how they promote sin. They want to make sin look good. That's why you got a lot of people that's in mischief nowadays, because what they promote with that sin is the money that you can gain from it, or the status that you can gain from it, and they make it look good to you. But that's why you gotta, again, don't look at the things that which can be seen, right?
Right. And that money, that status, it's all temporal. It's all temporal, man. Like it's saying right here, the things that you see are temporal. If you can see it with your eyes, that means it's not eternal, bro. You got to look into the spirit, man. You got to look into stuff. For example, like you can see that candy with your eyes. That candy seems fun. It seems like it tastes good. When you go into that gas station, when you go into that bodega, when you go into any of these places that got candy, you go to Walmart in that candy aisle, it look good, right? But what you're seeing is temporary. It's a temporary fix. Because once you eat that candy, it's gone, right? And now you're left with the effects that candy has given you, right? Which is damaging to your body, right? Man-made. Right, let's read this real quick.
Brother Obadiah got something.
Oh, go ahead.
Klein, man, that's what I was gonna say too, man. That's why a lot of kids, like you see, a lot of kids, they be so hyper, and they be so quick to say they got ADHD, but a lot of times it really just be from the candy and the sweets and the dye from the food, man. Like
Man.
I think that red 40, I think they say they can give kids ADHD, man. So it ain't. It's the candy and the sweets that's in the candy, man. Because people, they give their kids candy about every day, man. Like that's something that they give them every single day. So that's messing them up, man, and giving them, they overly hyper, But yeah, I just want to say that, man.
Con, man. This 2 Timothy 2:15, and it reads, "Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth."
Right. So on a physical, right, when you get that food, when you get that candy or whatever that tastes good, that's pleasing to the flesh, you got to read the ingredients. A lot of times, you don't read the ingredients. Next thing you know, you find out it has some pork in it. You find out it has something in it that wasn't, you wasn't supposed to eat, something that you were allergic to, right? All because you didn't study to show yourself approved, man. And now what happens? You're ashamed. But if you studied to show yourself approved, if you actually went the extra mile, you would not be ashamed. You would be confident, right? Rightly dividing the word of truth. So spiritually speaking, man, you got to discern whether something is the fruit of the spirit or whether it's your flesh, right? You got to study to show, even when you're reading the word of God, the way that you interpreted something. Is this my flesh that wants to read it this way? Or is the fruit of the spirit guiding me to understand what I'm reading? Right? Am I reading this just to get around the law, or am I reading this to live a better life that God intended for me? Right? The sister says, Khan, one of my brothers told me that my daughter was going to have a boring childhood because we don't let her eat candy. Shake my head. And the thing is, the world would have you think that because we miss out on holidays or miss out on giving our kids soda or miss out on giving our kids candy, they would have you think that they're missing out, but they're just giving you a perspective from how they were raised. They love the way that they were raised, and they don't want other people to differ or not experience what they experienced. But if we take a step back, there's a possibility that the way we were raised, yeah, it may have been cool, but there could have been a happier, funner, healthier, better way to be raised, right? So instead of jumping up and down because you want the starburst or you want the fruit roll up, you jumping up and down for watermelon, you jumping up and down for pineapples, you jumping up and down for fruit, right? But to those that did not grow up on fruit like that, fruit ain't fun. I don't want that fruit. No, I don't want that. You know, I don't want that fruit salad. No, I'm good on that banana, right? Banana was one of the first words both my kids learned. Banana, you know what I'm saying? So that's the difference. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference right there. We got to change our mindset. That's all it is. We can't fault those that think, oh, they're not going to celebrate Christmas. They're not going to have a good childhood. They're not going to miss Christmas, though. That's the thing. Like, you're saying that from the standpoint of you understanding what Christmas is. But at one point in time, you had to be taught what candy was. You had to be taught what soda was. You had to be taught what cake was. You had to be taught what Christmas and Halloween and all that was. You didn't know what that stuff was until you were taught it, and then you experienced it. Then you grew to like it because you craved it. But if you were taught and educated and you grow to like other things, you'll like those other things. Go ahead, Obadiah.
Dang, what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, I was gonna say, man. Yeah, people like to say, you know, they're gonna have your kids gonna have a terrible childhood because you don't let them celebrate Christmas or let them celebrate Easter or Halloween. But it's like, man, the high holy days in the Bible are 10 times better than the days that the world celebrate. Like, if the kids in the world that was celebrating Christmas and Thanksgiving, and we just give them a year celebrating the days of the Bible, they would not want to go back to Christmas. They would not want to go back to celebrating Halloween if they came and celebrated tabernacles. You know, I'm celebrating Purim when you getting like what people call Christmas. Purim is like what, 2-day feast? You giving? Y'all can hear me? Did I break up?
Little lag.
Y'all can hear me? Okay. But yeah, I was saying, like, yeah, the days, so the high holy days in the Bible are, you know, 10 times better than the days of the world, man. They just don't, people don't know that because they don't know nothing about the Bible, you know. But yeah, I yield on that.
Right, man. You don't know anything about it. So 2 things can satisfy your cravings, like we read. Fruit and candy can both satisfy the same craving, right? The world and the Bible can both satisfy the craving of, how can I say this? Can both satisfy the craving of belonging or having a culture or fellowship, right? The world can give you its answer for that, right? And give you dopamine rushes and can give you things to put you in the holiday spirit. And the Bible can also do the same thing, put you in the holy day spirit, put you in remembrance, put you in joy and gladness. They both can satisfy the same craving, but which one's going to have a longer lasting eternal effect, right? And that's what this lesson is about. Let's read this, Hebrews 11:25.
It's my turn. Oh,
I think it's mine.
okay.
Hebrews 11:25, it says, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season.
Right. So a lot of this stuff is counterfeit. It's just for a season. Right. And we got to choose sometimes to suffer, sometimes to have self-restraint and to pick the healthier choice. And it's not going to always seem fun. Not going to always be the choice that everybody else would pick. Right. Everybody else, everybody else, they're all eating candy and they got all the goodie bags, and your mom tells you, no, you can have this apple. It don't seem fun. It seems like affliction, right? And so, they're eating cotton candy, and you're eating strawberries. Don't seem fair, don't seem fun. But you got to choose to do the right thing, man, because sometimes majority of the times enjoying pleasure is only for a season, right? Guess what? You making the healthier choice now. Them friends that you got, they may get addicted to sweets. Next thing you know, they got diabetes, right? Next thing you know, they their parents are paying for all different type of medical bills because their kids is sneaking candy in the house and they're eating candy. I've seen videos where kids have snuck candy in all different parts of their bed and their shoes and all different type of stuff like that. It becomes an addiction, right? And them kids, they've been taught that way, and they don't know that fruit can satisfy the same addiction. And with fruit, you can get all them different minerals, fibers, and all that good stuff as well, right? Let me go to Hebrews 12 and 6. Right, we can read this.
Hebrews chapter 12 and verse 6. It says, "For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth."
Right, so there it go. It may seem like chastisement. It seems like we get unlocked up. Seems like we can't have fun, right? But that's love. You know what I'm saying? That's love. That worrying about our health, spiritually and physically, that's love, right? It may seem like we can't celebrate what the world celebrates. We don't get to have that fun no more, man. We don't get that excitement on Christmas morning, right? We don't get to wear the pointy hats and celebrate our birthdays for a whole month, and we don't get to do a lot of folly that the world does. It don't seem fun. Like we can't go out to the game on Saturday and buy tickets to the concert on Saturday where we know everybody having fun. And it may seem like we're being chastised, but that's the Lord loving us, right? And that's us choosing love and choosing to suffer affliction, right? Giving up jobs, giving up money. That's us choosing to suffer affliction, right? Instead of being pleasured for a season, right? Because that stuff can get taken away. And even if it doesn't get taken away, it's temporal because you're not going to live forever, right? Moving on, though. Let's go to Jeremiah 17 and 9. Jeremiah 17 and 9.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17 and verse 9. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?
Right? That's what sin is, man. That's what candy is. It's deceitful, right? Like we talked about earlier, it tricks your body, right? Your body don't know what it's eating. Same thing with sin, right? Your heart is deceitful. Your heart will make up excuses to do evil and say, nah, you'll be all right. Nah, remember so-and-so in the Bible did this. Nah, you can do this because, God, he uses broken people. You're not supposed to be perfect, right? Your heart will deceive you into doing something wicked, right? That's why I'm saying, who can know it? That's why we're not supposed to what? We're not supposed to lean to what? Our own understanding, right? Which is, I believe, the next precept I got in Proverbs 3 and verse 5. You may have a lot of people, candy's not bad. I eat candy before I go on my run. I eat candy to give me a spike of energy when I'm having a long drive. I eat candy before I go to the gym, give me a little rush of energy. Candy's not bad. You got those people, but you can't lean to your own understanding, right? Because fruit will do the same thing. Why you don't just go get you some fruit? Why don't you eat you an apple before those things?
Get you a smoothie.
Right, drink you a smoothie, right? If somebody could read this, Proverbs 3 and verse 5.
Proverbs 3 and 5, it says, "Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding."
Right? We can't lean to our own understanding. Why? Because this stuff is deceitful, bruh. Just because it tastes good and it feels good to eat it, is pleasurable. Guess what? It's decaying your teeth. It's rotting in your teeth, right? it's tearing down your body's health, right? It don't feel like it is because it tastes so good, it feels so good, but that's what it's doing. It's deceptive, right? When you lean to your own understanding, it'll cause you'll be in an early grave when you lean to your own understanding. That's why God wrote the commandments, right? That's why God gave us the commandments. Why? Because he wanted us to live a long life. He said, choose life. I said before you this day, life and death, choose life, right? He didn't set it before us so that, it just be advice. We could take it or leave it. He said it before us as commandment because he knew what was going to give us a longer life. Like that's a lot of times people, they don't want to go to the hospital because they know, their doctor might tell them to monitor their diet or, do some exercise or some, and they feel like they got, they fine. But sometimes you have to listen to somebody that knows more than what you do and don't lean to your own understanding, which is hard to do nowadays because we have AI, we have Chat GPT, we got Google. We can become our own doctors. We can become our own. We can, diagnose ourselves, right? We can come up with our own diets that we want, right? But ultimately, we have to be able to not lean on our own understanding and get counsel, right? Get counsel. Let's read verse 6.
Verse number 6, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths.
Right, the Most High is going to direct our paths. We're not supposed to direct our own paths. We live in a generation now where, manifest destiny, right? I manifested this. I said that this was going to happen and it did. You can do it too. You can direct your path. You can be who you want to be. Right? That's the type of generation we live in right now, right? And it feels good to say that stuff and believe that stuff. Ultimately, the Most High directs our paths, right? With these commandments. The Spirit, when the Spirit fills us, will lead us and guide us. It doesn't say that we're going to lead the Spirit. It said it's going to lead us, right? But fruit ain't fun all the time. Sometimes that Spirit going to lead us to be around people that we think are boring. Sometimes it's going to lead us to a life that we think is boring, right? Sometimes that Spirit is going to lead us to a job that we feel like, it doesn't pay enough. Sometimes it's going to lead us to do stuff that we don't want to do because fruit ain't always fun, right? Bananas don't look as good as Jolly Ranchers sometimes. You know what I'm saying? They don't look as good as Sour Patch Kids. You know what I'm saying? But ultimately that banana got potassium in it. That banana got, got fiber in it. Right? Let's keep moving. Salakia, Luke 14:28. I don't know if this is one I want. Let's read this.
Luke chapter 14 and verse 28. For which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it?
Right. And this is, this is just talking in general. Like, you got to be able to tell yourself, because, when we were trying to be athletes, right, we were sacrificing for the sports, right? This is going to make me feel sluggish later. This is going to make me crash. Nah, this ain't going to be healthy for me, right? So we were counting the cost then. We got to be able to count the cost now as well. And we think about our health choices and fruit versus candy. We got to be able to say, nah, that's not going to, be sufficient for me long term. So same thing spiritually. We got to understand it's not going to be sufficient for me long term if I keep doing this sin, right? If I keep putting myself in this environment with darkness, right? If I keep having fellowship with darkness, it's not going to be sufficient for me to finish. Yeah, I may not be sinning, but it's not expedient for me, right? We got to get out of that mindset of it's not sin. We got to stop bordering or teetering the line. That's them fruit snacks, right? Yeah, it's a fruit, but it's a snack. Is it candy or is it a fruit? Well, they use fruit juice, but they also use some chemicals in there, like some artificial coloring and stuff. So we got to be all the way sold out, right? Let me go to James 2 and 5, right? Because I really was hitting on this because it said count the cost. So when we go to James 2 and 5, right? I want y'all to know that sometimes candy is cheaper than fruit. In most cases, candy is cheaper than fruit, right? Let's read James 2 and 5, though.
James 2.
Son,
Go ahead.
this James 2 and 5. Hearken, my beloved brethren, hath not God chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith, heirs of the kingdom, which he hath promised to them that love him?
Right. So guess what? You may have to spend a little bit more money, man, to get that fruit. And you may feel like you poor because you done had some you done made a choice that's a little bit more expensive. But guess what? In the long run, it's making you rich. Right. You know that candy, yeah. My kids, they could use a fruit bowl right now, but that's too expensive, man. The economy is crazy right now. Like, I'm gonna just go ahead and stop by the gas station and get them some little Debbie snacks. I'm gonna go to the gas station, get them some lemon heads, right? They'll be okay. They'll be fine. Get them some juice. Nah, go ahead and spend that money and invest in your kids. Get them a fruit bowl, right? Go ahead and do that, right? Because eventually they'll become rich for it spiritually. A lot of times in life, man, we take the easier way out, thinking that we're gonna save money, thinking that we're going to see, the brother said lemon heads. Yeah, it's funny because I know a lot of us grew up on them lemon heads, man. I know I grew up on them lemon heads. Might get picked up from daycare, some lemon heads sitting on the car seat. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm happy I got some lemon heads, but that should have been a banana. You know what I'm saying? It should have been an apple. But now I'm looking forward to them lemon heads when I get out of daycare. But nonetheless, man, we got to be able to count the cost, right? And sometimes the cost is a little expensive to do the right thing. Spiritually, it sucks sometimes to do what God wants you to do. Because you're like, man, if I do that, I'm going to be broke. Man, if I do that, man, I ain't going to have no time to myself. Man, if I do that, then I ain't going to have no life. Man, if I do that, I'm going to be missing out on this party. I'm going to be missing out on this sporting event I want to go to. But a lot of times we got to give it up, man. We got to give a lot of that stuff in the world up, man. What you think that you're saving, right? When God's telling you to give, he could be asking you to give because he wants to give you more. But because you think that you're saving, you're going to be like the man that buried his talent, right? And then the Most High God came back and asked what you did. And I buried it because, I didn't want to lose it. I was saving. The Most High God said, man, you should have been flipped that, twist that. You got to be able to take some risk in this life. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't take no risk. So guess what? I'm going to take what you buried and I'm going to give it to him because he was doing something with his. Right. So we got to be able to notice that in the spirit, man. We got to be able to take risks. We got to be able to not be afraid to put forth effort to show the fruits of the spirit. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 6 and 20 to piggyback on this. Land me back on this.
And I know they also make some people like fruit snacks and cereal. Like a lot of them have like artificial coloring, but I know they make some that don't have the artificial coloring in them, like certain cereal or certain fruit snacks or certain some people make healthier chips. It ain't got a lot of salt and stuff on it. So I mean, it's healthier ways to go around it than having to put all that stuff in your body, man. All those coloring, all those dyes. Like, you have other healthier options out there, man. It might not taste the best, or it might not taste like what you would call the original candies, like the Skittles and stuff like that, but they do have other healthier snacks, and you can make healthier snacks at the house, man. You know what I'm saying? You can make healthier stuff at the house.
And nowadays sugar has become the competitive factor, the winning factor, right? I'm gonna go to this. For example, you may have two coffee shops, This coffee shop is called Dunkin' Donuts. This coffee shop is called Starbucks, right? And Starbucks, you know, they're getting all of the clientele, right? So what does Dunkin' Donuts do? They add more sugar to their product. So the next time you not buy a Starbucks, you might say, man, I'll settle for Dunkin' Donuts. Then you drink, you be like, dang, this thing tastes good. I don't remember it tasting like this. It's because they up the scope, they up the sugar in it, right? And now you addicted to that taste, not knowing they just added something that's bad for you, right? So a lot of times in life, the things that we cling to are bad things that were added, and we cling to it, and we desire it, and we think it's better for us. When in all actuality, it was designed by the enemy. It was designed by the spiritual demon Satan to distract us and for us to be addicted to something we're not supposed to be addicted to, right? If we could read this real quick, 1 Corinthians 6:20.
1 Corinthians. Wait, whose turn? My turn.
I think it's mine. 1 Corinthians 6:20. For ye are bought with a price. Therefore, glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's.
So this is telling us your body and your spirit, right? So now we talked about how expensive, you know, fruit might be as compared to candy, but ultimately our bodies are the most expensive thing, because why? Christ paid a price for our bodies, so they're not our own anymore. So guess what? We have to be able to spiritually discern the fruit of our body, right? We can't be, you know, giving out candy. A lot of times, even in this truth, even in this walk, people that have come to the knowledge, they're giving out candy. They're not giving out fruit of the spirit no more. They're giving out candy, right? They're giving a false equivalent to satisfy you by giving you some rink-dink lesson, and it's filled with charisma, right? They seem like they're mighty men, mighty women, right? But ultimately, they're giving you candy. Because why? They don't live that way. If you read the ingredients on their life, would say, yeah, this is fake. Yeah, this is man-made. This right here is not natural, right? So we got to be able to discern, because we have to give the fruits of the spirit, right? We can't give candy spiritually. A lot of us, we have perfected a candy. We perfected, you know, like when they was in the lab and they was making Sour Patches. They say, man, how can we compete with Skittles? How can we compete with M&Ms? All right, let's put a little bit of this stuff that make it sour, some more sugar here, some gelatin here, you know, some Karuba wax here. Let's put some of this here. They taste it. They say, "Oh, we done did it. Oh, this finna reach the masses." They perfected making a candy. A lot of us spiritually, right, and a lot of what we see are men and women that perfected a candy, right, and they perfected the right amount of charisma and character and personality and the right amount of scripture and the right amount of dress, right? They look the part, they act the part, they talk the part. But when you read the ingredients, man, it's nothing good for you. It's nothing good for you to be consuming, right? So we are bought with a price. We are expensive. We are the expensive first fruit, right? We're supposed to be that expensive first fruit. All right, moving along. Let's go to James 5:7-8. James 5:7-8.
Con, this is James chapter 5, starting at verse 7. It says, "Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. Behold, the husbandman waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth, and hath long patience for it, until he receive the early and latter rain."
Right? So once again, we're the fruit of the earth. We're supposed to be that fruit, right? And you got to be patient for fruit. You know, the thing about candy is you can go to the store and just pick it up, right? Get it quick. They got cheap candy. They got different size bags. You can go and get that candy. But with fruit, you got to be patient, man. That's why fruit ain't fun. You got to harvest it. You got to plant it. You got to water it in the right season. You might get attacked by a bunch of bugs that eat it all up, right? You got to protect it, right? Fruit ain't fun. And how much more spiritually? you know, that quick fix in the world that your flesh wants, that quick pleasure, you know, it's there for a season, but it's nothing that's sustainable. It's not sufficient. But that fruit, oh, you gotta be long suffering. You gotta have temperance. You gotta be patient, right? It's not gonna always be good every day, right? It's not gonna always be fun to eat every day, right? You gotta keep that up, right? Meaning you gotta be patient, right? It says until he received the early and latter rain, meaning we doing this for the end times. And we got to understand that the Most High God and the Father, they are choosing the fruit. They're not choosing the candy. So why should we choose the candy? They're waiting and being patient for the fruit of the earth to be fulfilled. They're saying let the wheat and the tare grow up together before we take the wheat, right? They're being patient, so we got to be patient. We gotta crave the fruit and not the because you can't, you know, God, you can't mock God. You can't pull one over God's eyes, right? He understands what's fake and what's real. And he's given us the power to understand the same, what's fake and what's real. But it's up to us to conquer our flesh, right? And to possess our vessels with sanctification and with honor, as the scriptures say, right? So a harvest takes time, right? Candy is, you know, it's always there. I don't think, you know, the world is always scared about losing toilet paper, running out of water. You know, the world's scared about running out of gas and fuel, but the world is not scared about running out of candy. We gonna always have candy, right? And that's the problem, right? That's the problem right there. Candy is ready and accessible, but fruit, it's not fun. You got to harvest it, man. You got to be patient, right? Moving along though, let's go to Hebrews 4:12.
Did you want to read verse 8 too?
Oh yeah, con. Verse 8.
Verse 8, it says, "Be James 5:8." It reads, "Be ye also patient, establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord draweth nigh."
Right, man. We gotta be patient. I know sometimes it's hard, man, to do the right thing all the time and keep the commandments all the time. And sometimes that flesh side get up on you and the world starts looking, you know, a little better. And you know, sometimes, you know, temptation and afflictions of this life and cares of this life take a hold of you and you want to, you know, take the easy way out. But be patient, man, and establish your hearts. Because we're looking for something, man. We're looking forward to something, right? Hebrews 4:12.
Hebrews 4:12. For the word of God is quick and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword, piercing even the dividing asunder of souls and spirit, and of the joints and marrow, and is the discerner of thoughts and intents of the heart.
Right. You know, a lot of this candy is processed in factories and stuff, right? By the masses. And you know, the thing about fruit is fruit a lot of times got to be cut. Yeah, you can eat it whole, but we know for fruit to be appetizing and easier to eat, you got to cut it up. And the word is what cuts us up. The word is what cuts our fruit up to make it look more appetizing, right? To the world, right? To us, right? You got to take the time to cut up that fruit, dice it up, right? Slice it up, put it together in a bowl, mix it up, you know what I'm saying? Make it look good, drizzle some honey on it. You got to take the time to do that. And that's what the Most High God is doing with us spiritually, with the fruits of the Spirit. You ask for patience. He cutting you up, right? It says piercing even the dividing asunder of the soul and the spirit, the joints in the marrow. It's going to hurt sometimes to get cut up, right? But ultimately, he's forming and shaping you to be attractive so that when the when the groom comes for his bride, you know, he wants that, right? So he's shaping us and he's shaping our fruit, right? So that we're more desirable in the eyes of the Lord. And that's what the fruits of the Spirit do: patience, temperance, long suffering. A lot of people don't understand that or read past that long suffering. They wonder, why me? Why is this happening to me? Why did I end up with this guy? Why did I end up with this girl? Why did I end up with this job? Why am I suffering this with my kids? X, Y. Long suffering is part of them fruits of the Spirit, Why don't they understand? Why my family just don't understand and come to long suffering is part of the fruits of the spirit. It hurts, man. But we got to get cut up. Fruit gets cut up. That candy don't get cut up, man. That candy, you know, come in that bag, you know, you get it, you pop it in your mouth, shake it in your hand like this, you know. But fruit, sometimes you got to take the time to get your cutting board out. You got to get a certain knife. You can't use a knife that cut chicken. You got to get that, you know, that knife that sliced through that fruit. You got to dice it up. You got to shave it up, you know. And it you know, one would say that fruit tastes better when you cut it up, right? So just like the word, you know, cuts us up, man, you know, we got to be able to use the fruit of the spirit to cut us up. We have to let it cut us up, right? So last place I'm going to go, of course, you know, I'm going to Galatians 5. Galatians 5 is where you find the fruits of the spirit. We're going to start at verse 17. Since we're comparing fruit versus candy, we're going to also compare flesh versus the spirit, right? We're going to start at Galatians 5 and 17.
Galatians 5 and 17 says, for the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other, so that you cannot do the things that you would.
Right? So like, you know, I know you want to have fruit snacks, but come on, you got to pick a side. You know what I'm saying? The spirit is going to lust after one thing. The flesh is going to lust after the other. Once you become convicted, once you become health conscious, sometimes your body won't let you eat McDonald's anymore. You'll be like, you don't even have a craving for McDonald's no more, right? You used to go to McDonald's all the time. That's because spiritually, that's your spirit saying, no, I can't eat that. You know, you could stop by McDonald's, but there's a spiritual force stopping you from going, right? That's letting you know there's a spirit that lusts after one thing, and your flesh, it lusts after another. That's why you can see some people that's so-called in the walk of obedience to Christ, right? And next thing you know, they're back in the world celebrating Christmas, right? Because they couldn't conquer their flesh. Their flesh lusted after that thing, right? And their spirit was not strong enough to cancel the thought out. Let's go to verse 18.
Verse 18, but if you be led of the spirit, ye are not under the law.
Right. If you're led under the spirit, you're not under the law, because that spirit is going to give you conviction, right? You don't need the law to tell you right from wrong no more. You don't need your parents to say, you don't need all that candy, boy. You don't need all that candy, girl. You don't need your parents no more. Why? Because you have conviction and your spirit has taken over, right? The fruit of the spirit, right? Verse 19.
Verse 19, now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery,
Quick fix,
fornication, uncleanness,
temporary,
lasciviousness,
temporary. All these things are temporary and quick fixes, right? All these things, yeah, they feel good in the moment, right? But you end up getting addicted to the sugar. You end up getting addicted to the way it makes you feel and the way it looks and the way it tastes. But it's all temporary, man. Keep going. Verse 20.
Verse 20, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions,
right?
heresy.
It feels good to hate somebody. Just let your emotions kick over and just hate somebody, man, and do them wrong all the time. You know what I'm saying? And wish the worst on them. It feels good to do that, right? But when you have the fruits of the spirit, man, it's a healthier option. You got to let the hatred go, right? You got to let your wrath go. Stop trying to cause revenge. You know, stop trying to be petty and get your wrath across to somebody. I'm not going to do this because, you know, I remember when they did this to me. They'll be all right, right? Verse 21.
Envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God.
That's all that candy, man. Them revelings, them wild parties. You got to go home eventually and go back to work, bro. You can only have fun at that party for a time. You know, you can't be drunk every day. If you drunk every day, man, like you're just letting life pass you by and you're breaking your livers down, right? Murders, envyings, right? You spend all your time, all your life worrying about what the next person has, right? All these things, right, is candy, right? It's not fruit. But let's look at what the fruit is. Nice diced up fruit, cut up fruit, right? Healthy fruit, sweet tasting fruit. Verse 22.
Verse 22, but the fruit of the Spirit is love,
joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith.
All these things take time to harvest, right? Sometimes it takes time for us to develop a sense of peace. Sometimes it takes time for us to find a sense of true joy. It takes time for us to learn how to long suffer and how to be gentle with one another after all that we've been through in life, right? It's take time for us to grow our faith, right? So a lot of this stuff, right, and it's expensive. It comes with at the expense of losing friends, losing certain hobbies, losing certain jobs, right? All this stuff takes time, and it takes and it's expensive. But we got to pay the price, man, because as we read, we are first fruit ourselves, and our bodies are paid with a price. Verse 23.
Verse 23, meekness, temperance, against such there is no law.
Right? There is no law.
Verse 24, and they that are Christ have crucified the flesh with the affections and lusts.
Right? So if we belong to Christ, we have that conviction that won't even let us look that way anymore. Candy? I ain't had candy in so long, bro. I don't even crave candy. Right? And it can happen. You just got to start today. Right? And God will take that taste of candy out your mouth. Right? Verse 25.
If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit.
Right. Verse 26.
Let us not be desirous of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another.
Right? So let us not desire candy. Let us not desire temporary vanity. That's all life is vanity. And a lot of times we find ourselves desiring vanity because we can't fathom death. We can't fathom eternal life. Brothers were just talking about this the other night. We can't fathom a kingdom coming that's better than life right now. We become attached to life because of the pleasures that life has to offer, right? Because of the beaches, because of the ice cream sundaes, because of the pleasure you get with sleeping with your spouse, because of the pleasure you get when you see your kids do something for the first time, because of that new job offer you got and that raise, because of that lump sum of money that was gifted to you. We get so complacent with life because life seems pleasurable, but it's all vanity. It can all be gone like that. And so we can't desire candy. We got to desire the fruits of the Spirit. We got to desire the stuff that's going to be, meat for us for long term. But we've been on this thing for an hour, man. That's all I got for this Sabbath day's lesson. Did the brothers got any scriptures or anything before we close it out?
I wanted to add to the point you made earlier, man. One of my, I guess you could say, precepts I like to go to all the time is Isaiah 65:8. And I'm going to roughly paraphrase it, but it's just talking about as the new wine is found in the cluster, right? What is it referring to? The cluster of grapes. We're the new wine, even the Lord, like the brother was said earlier, the Lord likens us unto fruit. So it's just something to keep in mind, when it comes to desiring things that we don't need. You put it on the screen, so I'll read it. Isaiah 65:8 says, thus saith the Lord, as the new wine is found in the cluster, and one saith, destroy it not. Why not destroy it? For a blessing is in it. So will I do for my servant's sake, that I may not destroy them all. He's talking about the remnant of Israel he's going to save, right? But again, the point of emphasis is how he refers to us as the new wine found in the cluster. Wine is good to drink, right? Why? It's made of grapes, and grapes in bunches are referred to as a cluster, So to the lesson point, there's a remnant of us that are going to be saved. Why? Because instead of taking the candy, we desired the fruit. We desired the fruit of the word. And I think that not only was this a good lesson, it's also good, what I'm saying, even for me, to further double down on my denying of, candies and sweets, because I've been doing pretty good not eating candy and stuff like that. Well, outside of if one of the brother's wives make it or something like that, then I might, have a cookie, get a slice of cake. But nonetheless, man, it's always good to know the difference between the natural sugars and the artificial ones. But mighty lesson.
Any of the other brothers have anything?
Man, hey, mighty lesson, man.
At all?
Uh-uh.
Man. So I hope that was edifying, man. Mighty point by the brother Isaiah as well, man. Knowing that we are that first fruit that God's waiting for and that he's desiring. So if he's desiring fruit, we got to desire fruit ourselves, man. But with that, man, Shabbat Shalom. Hope you guys have a peaceful Sabbath day. Till next time, Lord willing, we'll be back. And, you know, I was gonna say like where we're gonna be at today and stuff, but you know, with current events going on, man, it's like, man, you kind of don't want to let people know your whereabouts all the time. But we gonna be bringing out the word, man. Feel free to DM the camp page if you want to know where we're gonna be at, man, on Instagram, on Facebook, or whatever, and we'll let you know where we'll be at. And like our big brother Christ says, if you're not gathering the sheep, you're scattering the sheep. And the sheep is Israel. So gather together, O nation that desired. It is the end times. And we say, Shalom.
Shalom.